I always thought that one day I would make them proud. Even as a kid, I would imagine the moment standing tall. My father looking at me with something more than disapproval. My mother finally seeing me is more than an afterthought. I chased that dream relentlessly. But the moment I had waited for never came. It was my father's 50th birthday. The restaurant was loud to fancy for their tastes, but I had booked it anyway. I thought, maybe, just maybe, they'd see what I had built for myself and be proud. I slid the check across the table with a nervous smile. "Happy birthday, Dad." He picked it up, his eyes scanning the numbers. Then, without hesitation, he tore it in half. The pieces fluttered onto the table like dead leaves. "You can't buy my respect," he said flatly. I felt something inside me crack, a quiet, invisible fracture. Before I could respond, my mother let out a sharp laugh. "We don't need money from a keyboard clown," she sneered, stirring her wine. A few heads turned in our direction, but no one said anything. My stomach clenched, a familiar weight settling in my chest. They would never see me. Never accept me. Never be proud. And so I made a decision. I walked out, and I stopped paying their bills. For years I had sent money without question. They never thanked me. Never acknowledged it. The mortgage, the utilities, my sister's tuition, just numbers in my bank account obligations I had taken on without being asked. Maybe I thought money could build the bridge they had burned long ago. I was wrong. When I stopped paying, it took 2 months for the calls to start. First, a few missed ones. Then dozens. My father never called. I doubt he even knew how to dial my number. My mother did. Over and over. I ignored them. But the messages poured in. "Your father's blood pressure meds aren't covered anymore." The electric company sent another warning. "We raised you, and this is how you repay us." Guilt knotted me, but anger was louder. They didn't want me only what I could provide. I wasn't an easy kid, I'll admit that. I was quiet, always buried in books, or tapping away on the family's old computer. My father hated it. "Go outside," he would bark. "Do something real with your hands." But I didn't want to fix cars or play football. I wanted to build worlds, write stories, code games. Things he called useless. Keyboard clown, my mother called me, when I told them about my first freelance gig. The nickname stuck, even as my bank account grew. When I finally landed a full-time job in tech, making more in a month than my father had in a year, I sent money home without thinking. I thought it was my duty. My way of proving I was worth something. But money can't buy love. And it sure as hell can't fix the past. One night, after weeks of silence, my sister called. "You have to talk to them," she said. "No," I replied. "They need help," she pleaded. I wanted to tell her that I had needed help too. That when I was a kid, sick in bed with a fever, my mother still made me get up and clean. That when I won an essay contest in high school, my father hadn't even glanced at the certificate. That when I moved out, the only words my mother had said were, "Don't forget to send money." But I just said, "They didn't care about me when I needed them." "That's not true," she whispered. But it was a week later. I finally picked up one of my mother's calls. "Hello." Silence on the other end then. "So you finally answer." I said nothing. "You think you can just cut us off like that?" She snapped. "After all we did for you," I clenched my jaw. "All you did for me? You had a roof over your head, food to eat, a roof. I was scared under food, I was too anxious to eat. Because I never knew when you'd be in a bad mood." Her breathing was sharp, uneven. "You're being dramatic." "No," I said. "I'm finally being honest." She scoffed. "So this is what you want to see? Your father and me suffer. I closed my eyes, a deep, aching exhaustion settling into my bones. I don't want anything from you anymore. I hung up, and for the first time in my life, I felt free. The call slowed, then stopped. I expected guilt to follow, but it didn't. Only quiet. For years I had chased their approval, throwing money at a love they had never given me. But love isn't a debt to be repaid. And I wasn't a transaction. My father turned 50 and tore up my check. My mother laughed at my success. So I walked away. And for the first time, they had to live with the silence. They had written me into all my life,